Okay, so this is a video follow-up to part 1. This is part 2 on the Zenith 12H650 console radio from 1941. Really been procrastinating on this. It's a long story. The gist of it is that it was a way bigger of a project to take on than I really wanted. Much more difficult to work on than, well, I kind of knew it was going to be difficult, but ran into a lot of trouble with this thing. And when I went to do the alignment, that's when all the real fun began, because the instructions, I say that in quotes, the instructions are crap. And in fact, they're not really instructions, they're just more of a spreadsheet, and they give no real information on what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it. Just some very basic stuff like hook up a capacitor and a signal generator through a capacitor to here, and then adjust this. It doesn't say where you take your readings from, or it doesn't give much of any information. So I had trouble doing the alignment. I was going to do a full write-up and video on the alignment, but I really couldn't get much in the way of help about it, and very lacking in information. And by the time I did get the information, some of it that I needed, I'd already put it all together, and I don't really want to mess with this right now. But AM works and is pretty much spot on, so that's fine, because that's really all I'm going to use it for. Shortwave is dead. And even though this radio has FM, this was an early contender in the FM wars, where Zenith wanted to use, I think the range of FM that they wanted was something like 42.1 megahertz to 49.9 megahertz. So this radio is set up to do that. The obnoxious thing is that we have on here some numbers on the FM range that read 21 to 99, and one would think that those are frequency ranges, but they were actually channel numbers. So let me zoom in here. So what you see here is you have a number 21 and it goes up to 99. These actually map to a frequency, according to someone on the Antique Radio Forum. 21, so what you would do is you would put a decimal between the numbers and then put a 4 at the beginning of the number written here. So this bottom one would be 42.1 megahertz, and then the top one would be 49.9. I can tell you that it does pick up local FM stations on harmonics, although this one, of course, isn't properly aligned, so it doesn't work too well. The radio has an early type of equalizer. We have buttons that, when they're all out, enables the full range of music, and when you want to cut off something, you push them in. So the top one is treble, this one is voice, alto, bass, low bass, and normal. And they're not laid out in a way like a normal equalizer where you would have treble. I would have put it treble, alto, voice, normal, bass, low bass. They're just kind of on here in a weird way. They do work. The radio has push button channel presets. Unfortunately, I have messed with them, but I can't seem to get them to do what they're supposed to do. I don't know if they were for FM only, or if they're also for AM. If it's like many radios of the time, they're not. It's not like you can just assign any frequency to these. They may have been set up that the bottom one was for a low end of the dial, and then they went up. So they were just, each one was a range of the dial. This wheel here controls, you'll see a little flag, and that points to, like in this case, it's pointing up at the shortwave band, and the shortwave band on this radio is from 6 to 18 megahertz. Then you move it one over and there's a flag pointing down. This points to the standard broadcaster AM band. Move it over again and it says automatic, and I believe this is where these push buttons come into. And then all the way over there's two flags pointing at the FM band, which on here is listed as microstatic frequency modulation. So we're going to move this to AM, and let me take it off that frequency because that's music. So let's turn it on. This thing sounds really good. I don't know how well the microphone will pick it up. It has a very large 10 or 12 inch speaker, and it can produce some pretty good bass for an old radio like this. I'm not really sure why, even though I followed the alignment instructions as best I could, but the bottom end of the dial is kind of dead, which is bizarre because there's a 50,000 watt channel just a couple blocks from my home and it can't seem to pick it up, but it picks up everything else. I actually think that the plates in the tuning capacitor may be shorted. They may be bent or something.
Yes, sir, McDowell. Well, James and I have conferred with Gene Elms, head of their enforcement, and
so
some of the other.
I have everything pulled out
here in the next couple of weeks about
and if you can hear it,
James, I think
it's got so much bass it's vibrating my bookcase.
Some of the nuances of the regulations that may be
He's not sad that he's being persecuted and he's going to the cross. Addictions.
Now this radio also has a loop antenna in the back that you can steer through at least 180 degrees so that you can tune in a station better.
Of what we call hard time. Quickly now.
And there's some hum in it because of all the LED light bulbs in my house. I've turned off as many as I can, but still, it still picks up the noise.
And who refused to quit.
So, it was 8 guys last night. We all played 20.
Apply today at thebestweekever.com.
So, I'm gonna
is supported by...
Let's turn off the low bass.
You already share their Catholic values. Why not share in their
Let's turn off bass.
Complete a virtual financial checkup, and they'll donate $150 in your name to an eligible parish, school, or nonprofit, including relevant...
Normal.
Full offer details at NotreDameFCU.com/...
Alto.
Insured by NCUA.
Voice. And treble. And that's pretty muffled.
Temptation. When you face temptation, you have one of two choices. You can walk away and resist it, or you can get into it. Is there anything else to consider?
Worried about Eddie.
Ability.
A decent quarterback. I don't believe. Always struggled here in New York. Just on him alone. As you had mentioned before, incompetent coaching staff, hasn't had a lot around him.
We're going to try this on FM, but it probably won't pick anything up. Especially since I don't have it aligned correctly.
You can take on that. It's easier than you think. Right now, you can get 5 ports of...
So we're picking up some harmonic FM stations.
Southeast Resort has the same lucky number, 21.
The FM tuner in this uses slug tuners, very much like old car radios, instead of using oscillator or not oscillator, but it doesn't use like a tuning capacitor. It uses inductive slug tuners, I believe they were. So this is shortwave. I have no antenna on the back. It did no alignment. So if this gets anything at all, I'll be surprised. So, I mean, that's basically it. What I want to do is, at some point, I may be moving, and when I set up a new shop at the new location, I want to give myself more room to work on this. I really have to do it properly. You have to take everything out of the cabinet, and currently I just don't have the room to really properly work on this. Then I can do a proper alignment, and hopefully by then I'll have all the information I need to write up how to do the alignment. Surprisingly, I couldn't find, well, as you said, couldn't find any information. So, anyways, let's I'll zoom out and let you see more of what this thing looks like. It's a pretty nice looking cabinet. Still has original grill cloth. Original finish. Pretty nice looking unit. Anyways, that's it for now. Later.